Sealed Orders, an amazing short story by Rex Lawrence. What the military dictator didn't know was that sealed orders can take you to the end of the trail. Spaceship number 1 of the Changsu military district had taken off silently at midnight, sailing under sealed orders and carrying, although unknown to its crew, the most hated commander of the Near Eastern Republic, General Nero Ling-sa. At an earlier date, Ling-sa had been a popular hero who had worked and fought in the interest of the people he represented. Then he had become ambitious and greedy, and had tried to establish a dictatorship with himself as the head of a newly formed government. This had turned the people away from him, and although he still controlled the armed forces of the country, there was a movement on foot to capture him and restore the original Republican government. The plan of escape of Ling-sa was simplicity itself. He intended to sail off in the spaceship to a mountain retreat which had been prepared long in advance for just such a contingency, and remain there until the army had mopped up the opposition. He had held the spaceship in readiness and was about to set off. The sealed orders which had been given to the commander were to be opened an hour after the ship had sailed. Everything had apparently worked according to schedule. After sailing, the ship had climbed higher and higher until it was making 300 miles per hour at 12,000 feet. Ling-sa called the commander, opened the sealed orders, and changed the course if necessary. Then, for the first time since he had boarded the spaceship, Ling-sa gave more than passing attention to the commander of the ship. Tall, above the average for the Eastern Republic. Straight as a military commander should be, and quick and very quiet in his movements. Dark, heavy goggles covered the eyes of the commander, but as Ling-sa looked at him, he seemed to feel that he was gazing into space rather than into the eyes of a pilot commander. There was something very peculiar about that look. Ling-sa continued to gaze at the commander until it seemed that he would be able to remember every part of his makeup. "What do you read in the sealed orders?" he asked. Instead of answering, the commander broke the seal, took an official-looking document from the envelope, and handed it to Ling-sa. As he did so, he removed his goggles and placed them on the table nearby. Gazing steadily at Ling-sa, he pointed to the paper containing the instructions for the flight. "You will find that the instructions read as follows. At the time of opening these orders, you will be directly over the ocean, 300 miles from the nearest hangar at Changsu, and proceeding out to sea, and traveling at an altitude of 12,000 feet and at an average speed of 300 miles per hour. You are directed to increase your speed to the 500-mile mark and climb to 50,000 feet. By so doing, you will rid our country of a despot and for yourself gain eternal bliss." What is the meaning of such instructions? I gave orders to be taken to my retreat in the mountains. The orders were sealed so that nobody would be able to know my destination. Then, taking his revolver from a holster under his arm, he pointed it at the now goggles' commander and said, "Return to the controls. Point your ship as originally ordered, and proceed to your original destination. When we arrive, we shall ascertain how the orders became garbled, and just who it was that introduced the comedy element." The commander handed the papers to Ling-sa. "You will note," he said, "that the orders are properly made out, that the seal of the Republic is affixed as required by law, and that it is signed by the President of the Republic and countersigned by Commander-in-Chief of our army." Stepping closer to Ling-sa and opening his blouse, he showed his Republican uniform to the astonished general. He continued, "I am Lieutenant Quong of the Suicide, squad of the Republican Army. It is my business to see that you are taken out to sea and caused to remain there. Continuing, he said, this will be accomplished by a simple process. We are fueled for 5,000 miles. We are climbing at the rate of 5,000 feet per 1,000 miles. Accordingly, when our fuel gives out, we shall be halfway across the ocean and probably frozen to death by the time we begin to fall. The controls are set by compression, and our course cannot be changed. Lieutenant Quong replaced his goggles, buttoned his blouse, and started toward the door of the cabin. Turning, he again addressed himself to Ling-sa. Your revolver is useless. You will do well to put it away and make ready to meet whatever fate awaits you. As for me, I shall make a report, address it to the commander-in-chief of our army, telling him that his orders have been followed. The report will be placed in a spaceship, parachute, and released when our altitude reaches 30,000 feet. 2 weeks later, the people of Changsu were informed that Ling-sa had resigned from the rebel army and that the rebellion had been put down. Almost at the same time, a small news item appeared in the press, quoting the high commander of the army, stating that spaceship number 1 assigned to special duty had disappeared while on a flight at sea. The end.